Alright boys, LUI here, keeping you posted almost on a daily, a little actually skirmish or beef between CT Fletcher and the famous Joe Rogan, who is basically a comedian and also mostly known for UFC, right? He is the commentator of UFC. It revolves around muscles, that of a fighter. His name is Tyrone Woodley. So this guy fights, as far as I know, in the 170 pound category. So he is kind of muscular as per, UFC MMA standards. This is in the weigh-in, so he was depleted. But, you know, he looks buff somehow on stage nonetheless. So, Mr. Joe Rogan stated, according to him, that he thinks that his muscle development can be somehow of a hindrance when it comes to fighting, because he gassed out a little quick, according to him. So let's get right into this Twitter basically back and forth. It started with CT Fletcher saying, "Sorry Joe Rogan, you have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to muscular fighters. Big difference in bone muscle and built muscle." For the record, CT Fletcher basically, I think he's a friend, or he trained actually Woodley for a few. So that's why he is answering and going back and forth with Joe Rogan. And he sent several tweets before Joe Rogan answered. And so I told him again, some guys are just naturally more muscular than others. In that case, they've spent their whole life with that extra muscle. It is no hindrance. And then he goes and say to Kali Muscle and also to Joe Rogan, "I like the mother fricka, but obviously doesn't know shit about muscle and athletic ability." So I think this is a little bit of a diss, right? Calling somebody an MF and he doesn't know shit about muscles and athletic ability. Come on, Joe Rogan does not know. I mean, he passed his whole life from day one commentating on the UFC. He has, I think, also a black belt in two martial arts, right? I think he did Taekwondo and also Jiu-Jitsu, as far as I know, right? So he is an athlete and he knows his thing. I think nobody knows MMA more than Joe Rogan, to be honest with you guys. He has grown into the show. He was rolling with them since almost like 2 decades now, since I think 1999 or 2000. So do the math. I highly disagree with you, CT, right there. And then CT goes and say, "Those fights had nothing to do with the amount of muscle he was carrying. Dig into Robbie's recorded too." This is Joe Rogan. I think Joe Rogan is on TRT, right? So he's kind of a middle-aged man. I think he is on testosterone replacement therapy. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, he's in shape. And then CT goes on, before Joe Rogan even answers, he says, "Does your muscle give you problems, Joe Rogan? Do you get gassed quick? My guess is no. Am I wrong?" So he posted this picture of him being muscular. He's kind of a muscular dude as well. And he said, "Does it make you gas out?" And Joe Rogan answers finally in a respectful way. So he kept it classy. He told him, "Any objective observation of his abilities, baby please, should not be considered hate. I am a fan of him as a fighter and as a man." And then CT Fletcher comes back and said, "Nothing against Joe. I just think on this subject he's way off. It stays respectful here, but then again, not for too long, right?" And this all happened yesterday, as you guys can see, July 31st. Merely like an hour later, he goes and says that Joe Rogan, the comedian Tolkien, right? "Admit it, mother lover. I'm right. And yes, I called you a mother lover. You're also an athlete." And then Joe answers respectfully again, "I saw your manic string of tweets at me, and although we don't know each other, I've got nothing but respect for you." And he goes on and said, "Your videos are fun and I like your passion. I understand why we have a misunderstanding, but I am a huge fan of Woodley," right? CT goes back and said, "Joe, we're cool, bro. I hope you were not offended by my disagreement. I wasn't offended by you saying I was a manic lunatic." Why he did not say you are a manic or lunatic. I mean, he talked about the string of tweets. He said, I saw your manic string of tweets, meaning your repeated tweets. He did not call you personally a manic or a lunatic, Mr. CT, right? As far as I see it. And then Joe Rogan closes it to both of them, actually. CT and Woodley said, no offense at all, brother, nothing but respect for you and your passion. Take care. So absolutely kept it classy, to be saluted. Absolutely on a daily. Tell me what you guys think about it if you follow MMA like I used to do back then. I know this guy. He fought versus the Canadian Rory McDonald. He's one of the top dogs in 170 pounds category. Do you think that basically his muscular development is somehow of a hindrance when it comes to actually stamina? Because these guys usually fight for 3 rounds of 5 minutes each, sometimes 5 if it is a championship fight. And to answer you guys, yes, this guy is very explosive at first, and then he tends to basically diminish the stamina and he loses basically the breath, and his breath is not loyal at the very end of the fight, and he is not the champion. A lot of people say it is because of that. I'll be waiting for your input, guys. Be saluted, and that is on a daily